with a former WWE star now officially a free agent and more. This is Wrestling Rambles. My name is John and you're watching the Wrestling Report. Before we move on, make sure you subscribe to Wrestling Rambles with notifications on and don't forget to like the video. Asked about making an appearance on NXT, former WWE and current TNA star Nic Nemeth said this to Comic Book. I feel like that's more for some up-and-comers and some people with some unfinished business. I think after 19 years, there's no unfinished business there at NXT for me. Now, if Randy Orton calls me out on Raw, okay, let's talk. But at the moment, that NXT back and forth and getting people to jump and not know who's going to be there, I love that there's a possibility that I could show up and everyone would go, what the hell? And I also wonder what music do we play and what name do we call me? But that's fine. But most importantly, I think it is for making our long-term talent, whether they're homegrown or not, getting their faces there and not only helping them with their numbers, but also getting more exposure for us when they come back to us. So I don't think I would be a priority even as the TNA World Champion, but I would like to see some other people do some things. I was already NXT Champion. If I show up there, what am I going to do? Not be champion. I'm like, oh, cool. I did something that I didn't already do. It's less like, so there can be a special moment and there really can be a moment for me to show up there. That would be awesome. At the moment, I think Joe Hendry, Jordan Grace, even Moose. That's awesome. I love that. Who knows who's going to show up? And I like when you don't know. Oh, yeah, because there's so few surprises in wrestling, and when they're big, they're extra special when you don't know they're going to happen. The Jordan Grace of it all, I was shocked. It was one of the few episodes of NXT I was able to catch live because I had cable in my hotel, which I don't have at home. I was like, what is going on right now? You heard the sirens. It was crazy. Isn't that great though? Like, what the hell? What? Like, that's one of the best parts of wrestling. And now we know that any Tuesday or any Thursday, it could be one of those people showing up at our place or showing up at theirs. You don't know. I really like that aspect of it because it makes me want to watch like a cliffhanger. You got to watch next week to see what's happening, and I really hope what a special time right now in the business when everybody's kind of crushing it. Every company, independents are selling out arenas. I love that stuff. If you're a wrestling fan, it's the perfect time. Like, you don't need to waste your time arguing about your side. Much like politics, just holy crap. Enjoy what's happening and just know there's 500 awesome wrestlers out there. They're all being featured at the moment. Like, that's unheard of. Former tag team champion in WWE Grayson Waller was seen at a soccer game celebrating with a shoey. Prior to WWE's Clash at the Castle event in Glasgow, Scotland, electronic billboards had Joe Hendry's face on them, as the man himself explained his reasoning for doing this, telling Talk is Jericho. I decided that I wanted to get a billboard with no context, with just my face. I'm calling up the advertising company and they're going, you just want your face? Just my face. We can put a QR code. We can put a QR code. No QR code, just the face. WWE were in town at the Hydro, and that's when I made the decision to hire the 2 billboards attached to the Hydro with just my face. So when people are walking in a SmackDown, they have to walk past my face. I had a long conversation with one of my best friends in the business, R.D. Evans. He's very much a mentor. I talked about it for weeks in advance, months in advance, and he was one of the people I asked about it, and I said, what do you think? He said, I can't tell you how it will be taken in the industry, but I can tell you that the respect you'll get for having the balls to do it will outweigh any short-term heat you'll get. During that same interview, Hendry revealed his plans following his world title match against Moose. I have a world championship match against Slammiversary. I'm going to be in the main event. This is insane. I couldn't get on a pay-per-view for months. Now I'm in the main event for the world title at Slammiversary. I'll tell you this now. When I win the title, I'm going to raise the title above my head. I'm going to take the microphone and I'm going to say, John Cena, you've done everything in this business, almost everything. If you want to cross the line, that's what is going to happen. As Natalya will be sticking around with WWE, details were provided with Ringside News writing. Natalya signed a new deal as her previous contract was nearing its end. WWE, wary of her possibly entering free agency, presented a lucrative offer to keep her on board. According to the Wrestling Observer newsletter, Natalya's new deal was finalized as her contract was about to expire. Sources close to the situation revealed that WWE recognized the risk of losing her and made a strong offer to retain her. This move was made months ago, and while WWE intended to announce it, the news surfaced beforehand. Natalya, who has been with WWE for 17.5 years, boasts the longest tenure of any woman in the company's modern history. Only Randy Orton and The Miz have comparable uninterrupted longevity on the current roster. Revealing his feelings regarding the decline of WCW, Hulk Hogan said this to Sportskeeda. You could say, well, Goldberg should have never been beat. He was an attraction. From the movie industry to the entertainment industry, a lot of Jewish people were probably upset because this was the first time we ever had a 300-pound T-Rex killer. He was the second coming of Hulk Hogan as far as an attraction went. I think Goldberg should have still been undefeated. That might have been one of the things that would have kept the revenue stream coming in, but decisions were made and different people were in control of the pie. Sticking with Hulk Hogan, he recently gave a speech in support of former President Donald Trump at the Republican National Convention, and he posted this clip showing off what took place behind the scenes.
Was enough! And I said, let Trumpomania run wild, brother!
Good job, sir. You crushed it.
I don't feel it till I get out there. Can I please have a real American beer? Hey, brother. Thank you for having me here.
Good job, man. That was awesome.
You, man. Oh, good to see you.
When it comes to Megan Bayne wanting to work for Marigold in a tour, Ringside News wrote that former Stardom wrestler Megan Bayne completed her tenure with a promotion on January 21st of this year, and this led many to believe she joined AEW. While that isn't confirmed, it appears AEW allegedly prevented her from working a tour with Marigold. Although Bayne has appeared on AEW shows like Dark Elevation, and Rampage as an unsigned talent, many believed that she had not signed a formal contract with AEW, and rather she had been in talks with AEW after becoming a free agent. According to Dave Meltzer in the Wrestling Observer newsletter, Marigold anticipated Megan Bayne joining their current tour. After leaving Stardom, Bayne had verbally agreed to join Marigold and requested to bring Rebecca Scott along. Rossy Agawa approved this, and they plan to have 5 foreign women on the tour, with visas prepared for both Bayne and Scott. However, Bayne informed Marigold of a contract issue with AEW, leading to complications. AEW likely would not want one of their wrestlers working for Marigold. Despite this, Marigold never received responses to their inquiries, leading them to assume neither Bayne nor Scott would be joining the tour. It's still unclear if Megan Bayne will ultimately join AEW, as no final decisions have been made. Although she isn't part of AEW yet, Bayne has stayed active by competing in promotions like GCW and Limitless Wrestling. Taking to Instagram, the Nature Boy Ric Flair praised MJF for his win over Will Ospreay on AEW Dynamite in an hour-long match. Congratulations, MJF, on becoming the international champion. Once again, great minds and great talent think alike. Mentioning the direction he wanted to take with his Ministry of Darkness character, The Undertaker noted on his 6 Feet Under podcast, "When you've been on TV for so long, you always run that chance of burnout and washout and losing interest. So I wanted to take the character even darker than where it had already been, but in an even more sinister kind of way. I wanted to use lots of imagery and symbolism and just really push the envelope to what was going to make people feel uncomfortable. That was my goal, continue to evolve the character." Going over an injured AEW star that was backstage at a recent show, Fightful Select said Charlotte Renegade was backstage at the July 17th episode of AEW Dynamite. We're told that she was taking steps to finally get cleared after being out of action throughout all of 2024. Sources that Fightful spoke to indicated that she's been working to get cleared for quite some time. Both of the Renegades were backstage at the show, and sources had indicated that the two have gotten close with Mercedes Moné of late. Talking to Bubba the Love Sponge, Matt Riddle discussed wanting to take on Jake Paul as they watched a clip of a reporter asking Paul a question regarding this.
We've interviewed Matt Riddle several times, who says that in his opinion, you're ducking him. How do you respond to that?
Perfect question, wasn't it, Matt?
Perfect.
It was a great question.
Listen.
I don't know who that is.
You know, I feel like people do this when they're slightly insecure, or when they also know what the outcome's most likely.
Right, they play
be.
the I don't know card when they know that you would kill them.
Like we've seen each other in person.
Like
it's hard to forget this guy and
here.
not know who he is. You know what I mean? It's like the name and the persona. It's like, of course you know who he is.
Sounds like somebody wants a payday.
Let's just put it this way: I'm confident enough in beating Jake Paul in a fight, regardless if it's boxing, kickboxing, or mixed martial arts, that I would forfeit all my money because I know just knocking him out or beating him up is worth more than any amount of money I could get.
I mean, the marketing and you being the guy that really finally showed this guy the business.
Giving an update on his health, Braun Strowman had this to say to WWE Deutschland. "Knee's a little banged up. I got a doctor's appointment this week to get it checked out. It's been bugging me a little bit. If you've noticed, I've been a little off step these last couple of weeks. There's been some little tweak going on in there. When I caught it up on the top of that barricade, I felt something move in my kneecap, so I had a bruise on my knee at the end of the match and stuff like that. So not using it as an excuse or anything like that, but it sure as heck didn't help me not get beat." Also, Strowman said this about possibly joining the Wyatt 6 faction. "Honestly, with what's going on right now, I hope they stay the hell away from me. That's pretty damn scary. Every time they show up, there's bodies laying around everywhere, and I don't know what's going on in all honesty. Bo Dallas seems off his rockers, and I think he's talking to himself. At the same time, there's something inside of me. I can feel it pulling me towards them. I don't know if I like it or not. I locked that part of me away a long time ago. I thought I did a good job of putting it in somewhere that it was never going to be able to get out again. If the Wyatt 6 is able to get that monster to come back out on me, I fear for myself and anything that's walking around me." noting how AEW will be changing plans for their Saturday show Collision, given WWE Summerslam will air on that day. Ringside News wrote that WWE is gearing up for one of its major premium live events, SummerSlam, set to take place on Saturday, August 3rd at the Cleveland Brown Stadium in Ohio, promising an exciting show for the audience eagerly anticipating the event. With the biggest party of the summer set to go down with potential interesting plans, AEW Collision will avoid direct competition with WWE SummerSlam. According to the TNT schedule, Collision will air at 5 p.m. Eastern on August 3rd instead of its usual 8 p.m. start time, allowing it to conclude before WWE SummerSlam begins at 7 p.m. Eastern. The TNT network will broadcast Star Wars A New Hope and Star Wars The Empire Strikes Back during AEW's typical slot on that day. Furthermore, the August 3rd episode of AEW Collision will be taped on August 1st as part of the Path to All In series at Esports Stadium Arlington in Arlington, Texas. Moreover, AEW Collision has previously faced off against WWE events like Royal Rumble and Money in the Bank. Notably, viewership for the July 5th edition of AEW Collision, which aired against WWE Money in the Bank, dropped to 306,000 viewers. It appears Seth Rollins could have a big role for the upcoming SummerSlam event, as WrestleVotes reported that source states the current plans have Seth Rollins as the special guest referee for the CM Punk versus Drew McIntyre SummerSlam match. Creative is proceeding under the assumption that Punk will be ready for action, with the anticipated clearance date set for the Monday beforehand, July 29th. Following his release from WWE earlier this year, Jinder Mahal has revealed on X that his 90-day non-compete clause is over, as he is now a free agent and able to sign with another promotion. Mahal would also reveal plans that were in place prior to his release from WWE, telling Chris Van Vliet on Insight, "I always stay ring ready. Actually, while I was managing Indus Sher, when we got drafted to Raw, I was told that I'm no longer a wrestler, I'm just a manager, but I still stayed in shape. Yeah, they told me that because I was pitching. Well, the writer told me. I was pitching all kinds of storylines like 6-man tags or matches for myself where Indus Sher is managing me and nothing was happening, and I asked the writer, I said, what's the deal? And I also know this because I saw the roster sheet. Male heels, Raw, SmackDown male heels, tag teams. I wasn't listed under male heels. There was the male heel tag teams, Indus Sher, and I was in the brackets, so as a manager role. So I wasn't even listed as an active talent, and I asked the writer, I said, hey, was it discussed that I'm not wrestling anymore? He said, yeah, it was brought up that you're just gonna manage Indus Sher. And this was your pro wrestling news update. I hope you're all having a great day. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see y'all later.